Oh, hello. Am I recording? Ooh, yes, I think I am. Okay, try number two. After I get to try number three or four, I get so irritated. This is try number two for, which one are we on? Funding of construction. Update. Silly update. Last time I went and, this Lenovo I bought after my computer was stolen, it's okay, but the F1, the F4, they're so light you can't even see them. What do they think? They think all these old people like me who still use the F4 key are just completely obsolete. That's what they must think. Okay, so here's what we have. We have the three potential ways to finance our construction. Right now our total construction is 720. Well, that won't do. Why don't we put another 500 into debt? Okay. Here's the problem. We've got this financing of construction. It leaves you with this horrible kind of feeling because you know that you're going to have to finance the interest on this as well. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years of construction. And we're going to finance this with some equity, some debt, and some sub-debt. All right? And the problem is we don't really know how much we need until we've been through this process, which leads to another depressing and horrible circular reference problem. Okay, now we're going to make an old-fashioned funding method at first, which means we first put in our equity. And let's start with our equity commitment. Okay, and this is like this. So we press this and then put an equal sign. And that's how much you've agreed to put in. How much you've agreed to commit. And then you can put amount already funded, already contributed. See, this is not like a real commitment. And those other commitments like you make, you can't just say, I've made the commitment, goodbye. That's kind of what this is. But this comes from our opening balance. So that's really the trick to doing these things. Now these are like I don't think I didn't put an N in the word balance up there, but these are like a reverse cash flow waterfall, and then we put remaining. Amount to commit. And the reason this one is so important is because that's the test. That's what we are going to see used to determine how much we really have to put into the project. We'll put an opening balance. Then the key number is amount committed this period. Okay, and that's going to be either 65 or how much we have left over down here. And then we put a closing balance, which just keeps track of it. Now this opening balance is just a way to say how much we've already committed. That's just up here. Okay, so why don't we just go ahead and do this? So amount already committed, that's our opening balance. So at the very first period we haven't committed anything. And then we take the difference. So we still have 200 to put into this project. We start with 0 and then we say, okay, we've agreed to put 200. I'm sorry, we can put 65 or 200, whichever is less. That's the big one. And if you have been, and I did it wrong. I'm so used to making the opening balance. It's going to be the amount we have to commit or the balance. And I was about to say, go through some cash flow waterfall principles and ideas, but that's the general principle. Okay, so we put in, first we put in 65, and then we only have 135 left to put in, which means that changes. Now let's put the subdebts. Okay. Okay. Now on the subdebt commitment, let's put amount already committed, and then remaining amount to commit. And this time, how about this? Would you mind if I copied this one? Okay. Otherwise, it's a little boring. But now we have an interest on subdebt. Now, the only difference between this, the only difference between these two is that when we get up here, we can use a subtotal, almost like a subtotal in a cash flow waterfall. And this subtotal is financing needs after equity. Okay, so let's try that. So let's take our financing needs and then subtract how much we've put in. And this is such kind of an important line. Maybe we should put a little top and bottom border on that one. Okay, and then we can say, well, let's see how much we've agreed on the subdebt to put in. Let's see. Okay, this is where I got lost. God. Oof. That's why my F4 didn't work last time. I started swearing a lot. Okay, and then the amount already committed, that's again going to be our opening balance, and the remaining amount to commit is the remaining amount to commit is the difference, and the opening balance is equal to the closing balance. Oops, and I did it wrong. And the amount committed this period is the minimum of this number or that number. Well, we have nothing to put in, so it better be 0. The closing balance is the opening balance. Is all equal. And we'll put our interest rate on our subdebt in. And let's take this one, F4. That was F3. I have to remember kind of what it looks like. 1, 2, 3, there. Oof. Times the opening balance. Okay, and let's selection all of those. Okay, and so we have nothing committed here. Alright. Why don't we, because we have decimals, why don't we press Shift Control 1? Oh, they're exact numbers. Why are they so exact, these interests? So that's okay. So now we have some additional interest funding, and now here's kind of the problem. We should insert a couple of lines and put perhaps funding needs, maybe one line more, and we'll start with the construction. Okay, that's what we just input, but then after the construction, now we're going to have to add the interest on the subdebt, and let's put an interest down, Shift down, Control D, interest on senior debt, F2. Come on. Okay, and the interest on the senior debt, the sub-debt is just from above, from down here circular references are just starting to ooze out of this thing. And then we can put this plus this plus this. Okay. And luckily we don't have anything. That's good news, isn't it? Okay, and then we can now we'll make another subtotal, and we'll call this one the let's make another subtotal, and this is going to be financing needs after subdebt. Now, you could get really fancy and try to say, well, let's put subdebt in first, let's put senior debt in first, and all of that. But that's, what a pain that is. So you might just have to do it each time like this. So this is what's left over for the debt. Okay, and then I guess this is all going to be debt. We don't have to go through the business of this. All we need this time is our little balance. Okay, and let's put our opening balance is equal to our closing balance, and the amount committed will be this much, and alternate equal, shift right arrow, whoops, control R, shift control 1, interest rate this time is 4%, and we take our number and multiply that by the opening balance, and we get this. Now here's the problem, our balance of debt went to 440, and we said we needed 500, so far we're kind of we've committed too much debt. Okay, so but we haven't put the interest in yet, so let's put the interest in. Okay, that's a little bit wrong, right? Okay, and let's do this. How much if I do alternate equal now? Oh, didn't work. Let's just, okay. So now it went to 460. It's still not right. So now we could, let's say the debt is derived from the some kind of DSCR analysis, and the subdebt is just some kind of agreement we can get, or the equity, we don't know. We're going to have to solve for one of the others, so why don't we put the okay, so let's take that debt difference. So how about closing balance of the debt, and let's go down here and get the closing balance of the debt, and that's the computed input. That was this one, and the difference is here. So we could take this difference, we could make a goal seek on this difference. We could go to data, what if analysis, goal seek, and we could say, well, let's set this difference to be equal to 0 by changing the equity balance. Hopefully that would work. And there we go. Now we've done our funding needs analysis. Now The real issue is not this. The real issue is that when we size the debt, either through making a debt to capital adjustment, not adjustment, target, or making some sort of equity adjustment, that's where the real difficulty comes, and the circular references come in. So that's and again, that's really that. So this whole process will ultimately have to be either a part of some horrible copy and paste, or better yet, it can be some part of some function. It's not that difficult to really put this whole thing into a function. I promise you, that's not the hard part. The hard part is the another thing, is the prospective, forward-looking thing. So I'm going to stop here and call that our funding needs analysis. And again, to review, I said I'd stop, but I'm not. The keys are realizing it's a negative cash flow waterfall, getting the minimum here. Where's the minimum? Understanding that you need a balance in order to test the minimum. Making subtotals. It's all very, very familiar cash flow waterfall kind of things. Minimums, subtotals, balances. And that's enough.